you generally need less Mod Podge than you feel like you need. Having coverage at all is going to actually do a lot. It's going to go a long way. Hey, Karma. I have only once, based on Jeremy's recommendation, based on Blackmagic Craft's recommendation. I think in the right situation it can make sense, but I think if I was trying to make something very earthy, if I was trying to make hills or scatter terrain for like a cave or something like that, I think using it depends how precise. Like I don't work with it a lot. I did do it on I have some underdark terrain that's made with his method. So caulking so if you coat with Mod Podge, this is just the working can that I have right now. This is just Mod Podge with a mixture of black paint. And you can use this, you can water this down. It doesn't take a thick layer. You don't actually want to glop on a thick layer because you'll lose a lot of detail in whatever you've made that way. So you can get away with a very thin layer because basically this is just a type of glue. It's just a different concentration of like these are just different formulations of basically the same stuff, right? Easier to work with in one form or another depending on the situation, but like it's basically glue. And so all the glue is doing, depending on who you talk to, I view it as it does harden the foam, which doesn't hurt. I think it also is a pretty decent primer. So I prefer to have Mod Podge to paint on rather than just raw foam. It's a preference. It's not, nothing is set in stone or true about that. That's just a matter of preference. Now, once you go to caulking, it's much more of like a paste. You also have to mix it fresh, right, to use it because the caulking's not gonna. Well, I guess I don't know. There's probably ways to preserve it. Yeah, Karma. I think that's generally probably the way to go. I think that the caulking can serve really well as a sort of a middle ground between. Like if I was doing natural ground, I did this for the hill that goes with this build. The hill has what do you call it? The Sculptamold. So I like using Sculptamold, which is just a water-based mixture. And I think that creates a pretty good earth covering, natural covering for me. And I think an alternative to that, that's kind of in between Mod Podge and going with something like that is to use sort of a caulking mixed with like you can mix it with sand and maybe little rocks and things like that to get texture, and like that would provide another type of. Obviously, it's going to protect the foam. It's going to do more than that. It's going to probably be a lot more protective than. I mean, it's not really protective at that point. You're almost sculpting with caulking, which is interesting. Austin should be watering it down as much as you're comfortable with, right? I tend to just kind of liberally use a wet brush, but it really depends. It really depends on what you're covering and what you want it to look like. I just try. You don't want it to gloop up. You don't want it to be noticeably changing the texture. That's all that's the most important thing. Like I said, you generally need less Mod Podge than you feel like you need. Having coverage at all is going to actually do a lot. It's going to go a long way. Okay. Based on... Sure, that works. Wherever I put these magnets is going to get fully covered. Yeah, the paint, having some paint in the mix can help, so you can always see what you've already covered or what's already been hit.